Hey guys, it's Kim here with Fairly Fiber Fun. Thanks for joining me on this plant dye experiment video. So I purchased a tie-dye kit from Pro Chemical, and it came with all these little teeny tiny samples of dye and a little bag of soda ash. So I want to try it out. I've tried dyeing plant fibers before and failed every single time. It's always been rinse, 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 rinse until all the color is gone. And it's such a pain and it's such a hassle and I hate it. And I decided I would never dye plant fibers ever again. But I can't find dyed bamboo pretty much anywhere. So unless you want to pay an exorbitant amount on shipping. So I decided to try it again, but I made a big mistake. This is the first attempt, and that's ammonium sulfate, which is not for plant dyes. It's not salt. It wasn't purchased for plant dyes. It was purchased for natural dyeing wool, in case I ever decide to do that again. So, mistake number one. Here the bamboo is soaking. I have 3 little bundles. They're soaking in soda ash. Mistake number 2 is I did not wash the bamboo first. I'm going to put these in Ziploc bags so that the colors stay separated. Each one's going to be a different color. I have red, orange, and fuchsia that I'm going to use today for this first attempt. And I do very little filming of the rest, but this first one I filmed pretty much all of it, and will cut down as much of it as I can because most of it's just rinsing, like 20 minutes of rinsing. You don't want to watch that. Anyway, I don't want the chemicals on my hands, so I'm being really careful and I'm being very precise with everything. And then the next time I do this, I don't bother to wear gloves and I got dye on my hands. Oh well. It's recommended to wear gloves. It's recommended to use a mask, all of that. Okay? So I've already told you 2 mistakes that I made. The third mistake is not using the soda ash water. Should have done that. So first of all, don't use ammonia. It's not salt. Second of all, wash your fiber first. I used Unicorn Power Scour and I washed the bamboo fiber the same way I would wash wool. Except that you don't have to have hot water because you're not trying to dissolve lanolin. And now, what does my dumb butt do? But toss that good soda ash water down the drain. Don't do that. Use it. Okay, I did all right with mixing the dyes, but I had put the ammonia in with the dyes. Use salt instead. Just regular non-iodized table salt works great. You don't need anything fancy or special. And I had already put the powders in the dye jars. Urea beads can help dissolve the dye regardless of what type of dye it is. So you can use that with protein dyes or Procyon dyes. And I just used tap water. Mistake number, what are we on now? 5. You're supposed to use warm water about 80 degrees. I did not. I used cold. But I don't think that made as big a difference as the fact that I threw away all that good soda ash water. Did not use salt and used ammonia instead. I don't think the ammonia did anything. I just think it needed the soda ash and salt for the colors to adhere. So I'm going to speed up the other colors so you don't take, it's just pouring color in and moving it around, massaging it around in the bag, and that's it. So once I got all the dye worked into the fibers, then it was time to just let it sit for a few hours. I let it sit overnight, and the next day, time for the big reveal. Did this work? I don't know. I don't have a clue. I'm scared that I'm never going to get this right. But even though I made all these mistakes and it took days to get all the dyes out, I spent 3 hours standing at the sink washing these colors. Well, at first I spent 30 minutes doing it, and then I laid them all out to dry on my spin dryer, and they leaked dye everywhere. My spin dryer has now got colors on it. So I threw them back in water and let them soak, and for a few days, every time I thought about it, I'd get them out, rinse them again, put them in fresh water. But you see, I'm being super aggressive here with the washing, and I'm using soap multiple times. Don't do that. You can felt bamboo, and I did, especially the fuchsia. This was the last color, and I had been at the sink for a while, and I was exhausted. But fast forward a few days, and several more long hours or days long soaks, and the water's finally running clear. And there's still color in the wool. So this was a success. Now, the yellow I didn't film any of it, but I dyed it with the soda ash and salt, and it worked. I only had to rinse it like five to 8 times, and it was beautiful. So beautiful. So now that we know what works, I am doing a comparison dye of the red and orange. I didn't bother with the fuchsia. I didn't want to do it. I am putting a ton of soda ash in these bags. And I think I've already scoured the bamboo to see if maybe that makes a difference. I just remembered randomly. Oh yeah, sometimes you're supposed to scour your plant fibers because they could have chemicals in them that interfere, like processing oils and stuff, that can interfere with the fiber's ability to absorb dye. So that's already been done. They've been rinsed twice. I did a soak in Unicorn Power Scour, and then 2 soaks in clean water to make sure there was no Power Scour left. And then they were ready to mordant in the soda ash water. And apparently I don't have the wool ready yet, or this is when I was thinking, oh yeah, I need to wash the wool first. I don't remember, but I'm just mixing the soda ash into the bags, into the water, and then setting that aside for the next step. So here I've got a small bundle of bamboo, thrown it in one of the bags, and let it mordant. I think this time I just let it mordant for a couple of hours because I got impatient and I wanted to see if this was going to work better. And then I'll come back and show you the mixing the dyes up and the whole thing, everything I did different, so you can get a really good idea of what I did right. So first we watched what I did wrong, and now we're going to watch what I did right. So this is the soda ash soak, and I like to leave stuff in the bucket, but then I decided to use the bucket just in case dye spills when I'm mixing the dyes up. That worked great. So I'm showing you about how much salt I'm using, and again, this is a teeny tiny bit of fiber. I probably didn't need this much salt and this much soda ash, but it worked, so I can't complain. So I'm using the red again. I'm going to use a lot less red dye than the first time around, and of course I have less fiber too, but way less dye. I do not need that much. So this is an 1/8 teaspoon. And I'm just guessing at this point how much dye I need. It's all experimentation and playing and trying not to get dye all over my clothes because I don't want that. So same thing with the orange. And I didn't get as much in the spoon as I wanted to, so more. And then that sits and waits until I'm ready to use it. The thing is, you don't want to pre-mix your dyes in water hours before you're going to use it because they'll go bad. They go bad very quickly. So literally add water to your dyes and mix them up right before you're going to use them. And hot tap water works great. My tap water doesn't get super duper hot. We're not allowed to have the hot water heater turned up super hot. And now so I knew the hot tap water wouldn't be too hot. I'm pouring out some of the soda ash water, but I'm leaving some in there because why waste it? I don't even know at this point if salt was necessary, but it's already in with the dye, so who cares? I also did use urea beads in this batch, and I really couldn't tell a difference. Shook it up pretty aggressively when I mixed the dyes, so I have no idea if the urea helped or not. Doesn't matter. Made me feel good to use it, so I did. So now we are ready for the fun part, the exciting part. Okay, it's not quite the exciting part, but anyway, it's the same as last time. Pour the dyes on, massage it. This time I'm leaving it at real life speed so that you can get a really good idea of what works. Close up the bag, remove some of the air, and now you can't see because I'm not in frame. There we are. We're in frame now. I must have moved it so it wouldn't drip in the bucket. Laying it in the sink and massaging it around a little bit, I do believe. Or trying to fix it so it's doesn't have as much air. I don't know. Anyway, trying to get it where it'll work. And right away, I noticed that the dye seems to be coming out of the water. Like the water is not as dark as I was expecting it to be. The dyes are absorbing into the fiber immediately instead of staying in the water. But I thought maybe that was my imagination. It wasn't. It actually absorbed a good bit of that dye. So I'm really happy with that. Really happy with it. I should have made the orange a little darker. And here, I don't know if I didn't close it all the way or if I've got a leak in my bag. I could have a leak in it. Who knows? I don't want color mixing between the two. So I want to make sure that they stay separate because I want orange and red, not orange red. So I'm going to rinse out the bucket and then I'm going to put the dye bags back in the bucket. And now, because I forgot to use hot water, I'm running hot water in the bucket and I will let the bags of dyeing fiber hang out in the hot water bucket. And if there's any leaking from one bag, it's just going to go into that water and it's not going to hurt anything. I'm massaging them gently to try and get the heat all the way around the fibers. And now this is the initial rinse, either several hours later or the next day, probably the next day, maybe a few days later, I don't remember. So here I'm expecting to have to go through the same rigmarole, but I'm being much more gentle with the fiber. I'm running water over the fiber in my hand and gently moving it around and then leaving it to soak. And after a few rinses, and literally I think this is the third or fourth rinse, and look how clean that water is already. Like there's hardly any color in there. So this worked so much better, and these soaked for a few hours, and the water is still that clear. If the dye was going to bleed, it would have done so. Could I have rinsed it one more time? Yes, but I didn't feel like I needed to. I felt like it was good enough, and I'm happy with it. The water is almost clear. So good enough for me. Next time I might give it one more rinse just to be on the safe side. But no color was coming out when I squeezed it, like none. And the orange doesn't even have any color left. So I was super excited about this, blown away with the success rate. And now I have a bunch of new colors that I want to buy to dye up more bamboo. And I've already ordered more bamboo. So there will be more of this in my future. I did decide to use this slightly dirty rinse water one last time to see in the bucket if there was any more bleed. And I don't know what happened. Fiber got all tangled up there. There wasn't any more bleed. It was fine. And also, if you put it in the water, it'll kind of open up and be perfectly fine. So, huge success. I can dye plant fibers.